Hey, welcome back from the break. I told you all we would have a very exciting episode. We would have a very informative episode. And I have to welcome my guest into our house, into our couch, okay? So this is how it goes for today's episode. Today is a special EP, not only because I'm talking to a talented and intellectual human being, it's special because this is an episode of firsts. For the first time on our show, I'm speaking with a professional soccer player. We also have our first financial expert on the show. And we also have a member of the Forbes Top 30 under 30. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to give big hand claps to the creator of A Frugal Athlete, Amobi Okugo. Let's go. What's up, man? How you doing today, man?
Doing well, man. That's one of the best intros I've ever got, man. I appreciate you for real, for real.
Hey man, when someone comes to your house for the first time, you got to make sure you lay out the spread for them, man. And listen, you giving me your time, man, and it means a lot to me, man. I thank
Nah,
you.
thank you. Just high quality production, man. Seeing you behind the scenes, like get this stuff, like how it's rolling, man. It's a blessing to see.
Yeah. And it's the same for you with the frugal athlete, man. And of course, we're going to talk about that, because it's a big piece of your life right now, man, and your journey.
Nice.
So, Amobi, when I get on the episode, I like people to tell a
Mm-hmm.
story. And of course, in order to tell our stories, we have to start from the beginning. Are you cool with
Most
that?
definitely.
All right, perfect. Okay, so to kick it off, tell me about young Amobi.
Yeah, that's a good start. So young Amobi, first generation Nigerian American, the oldest of four siblings. So I was kind of like the guinea
Okay,
pig and the test dummy and like the example all in one.
you you got it the
I got it the
hardest. I was the same
hardest.
way. I'm the oldest, man.
So it was cool. A lot of pressure, but as we know, pressure makes diamonds. So I always, even at a young age, I was like very observant, very mature, always like trying to lead by example for my siblings and just being a representative of like the family name. Grew up playing soccer and
Yeah.
basketball. Was fortunate enough, my parents made a lot of sacrifices to make sure me and my siblings went to some of the best schools and did the best things to be in those environments where iron sharpens iron. Um,
Of course.
Grew up and soccer kind of took the lead as I continued to develop, and I was fortunate enough to play at a high level when I was younger. Started off with the club team, so essentially it's like similar to AAU in basketball, but AAU in soccer.
Hmm.
Um, kind of was sought out as a top talent. Started playing for the youth national
Hmm.
teams. From there, got invited to residency, and the residency is essentially like boarding school for the top 40 or so under 17.
So is that like a Oak Hill or
Exactly.
something like that? Oak Hill
It'd be
Academy
like
or what Verde, or
exactly.
one of
So
those, right?
to liken
Okay,
it to
okay.
basketball, it'd be like Oak Hill Academy, but essentially for the youth soccer national team. So
Gotcha.
it'd be
Oh,
like
okay.
instead of going to, I had the decision to go to Oak Hill or Montverde or Bellarmine Prep or any of these different ones. It's like no, there's only one for soccer that you can go to. So
Okay. So it's like a
yeah,
farm school,
basically,
basically. Like you're being trained
yeah,
to le represent the country.
exactly. So now it's completely different. Now they have like it's the more basketball type where you have different academies for each MLS club team. But at the time when I was growing up, it was basically residency, and I was fortunate enough to go there, and that's kind of what exposed me to. Like my dad always says, like you were a pro before you even went pro when because you went to residency. Like that was the lifestyle that we had.
Okay, so you understood the inner workings of, just the
Facts.
process, like leading up the games
Yeah,
and preparing for games days
yeah.
before, what you eat.
Like we
Okay,
had we had
gotcha.
mental health conditioning coaches like when we were 13, 14. Like that's how like serious it
Wow.
was. We were doing like different type of workouts, IPI, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, school. It was a great experience for me. So once I went there, I don't want to say I knew my path was set, but it kind of put me in front of the line for the next journey, which was professional
Right.
soccer. So after residency, came back home to finish my senior year of high school. Throughout that time, playing with the national team still, just in a different setting with the older U18, U20. Went to UCLA, and then after UCLA, my freshman year.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh,
my bad, my
oh,
bad.
oh, oh. No, no. That's perfect. Because I was gonna ask you, just about, so in high school, of course, you started at
Hmm.
home and then you go to the academy and then you come back. But going into your senior year or going into graduation, did you have this inkling in your mind where you were saying, I might go pro next year? Or was it a number of schools that you considered? Like what was your mindset? What was the process going into high school
No,
graduation?
I'm glad you slowed me down because like that's an important piece. So my senior year, I came back and I knew it was in the back of my head, like, all right, this is a possibility. But being first generation Nigerian American, my parents were all about education, so they made it easy for me. Like I had the option to go to basically any school, not to brag or anything, but I was just fortunate enough to have those opportunities. But my parents were like, you're staying close to home. You've been traveling all over the world. You've been away, so you need to be close to family. So from there, I made it easier at the very least. Like, all right, I'm going to go to school, and it's going to be in California. So trickled it down to four schools: Santa Clara, UCLA, Stanford, and Cal. Then it became between UCLA, Stanford, and ended up going on my official visit and choosing UCLA. But before that, um, my senior year of high school, I went on trial in Portugal. I was still playing, competing at a high level. So there was a possibility I wasn't
Mhm.
even going to go to college. But with my parents, they're like, nah, you have to at least, you know, get in.
Get, get the process
Exactly.
started, right? Okay, so why Santa Clara? Okay, so you named four schools, and three of those are significantly larger than Santa
Yeah.
Clara. Am
Yeah,
I
yeah.
correct? So why Santa Clara? Was it just the closest to home, or how did that
So
work?
Santa Clara, I went to St. Ignatius Elementary School. I went to Jesuit before I went to residency. So just having that Catholic private school um,
Okay,
upbringing, and then Santa Clara, the
yeah,
coaches at the time, one of the coaches, he was my U18 national team coach. So there's a relationship there. But after thinking about it, and like you said, like UCLA, Cal, Stanford, not to throw dirt on Santa Clara, but um, those schools were a little bit higher up on the pecking order.
of course, of course. So before I get to the next question, because we start at the beginning and we kind of progress through the story,
Mm-hmm.
right? Before we go to the next phase, which is
Yeah.
UCLA, I want to ask: did you play any other sports besides soccer?
So grow.
I've been checking your IG, so I will let you answer.
So growing up, I played basketball and soccer, and like I was pretty good in basketball. I'm not saying I was like the next LeBron James or anything, but I could hold my own. I was on a really good AAU team at the time. We were probably one of the best teams in California. We did a national circuit, all that stuff. But it came to the point where soccer just took over, and soccer just kind of made the decision for me.
Okay, because I was about to ask you, did you come to a crossroads where you were like, which one am I gonna
Yeah.
do? Am I gonna go da 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 da? But I mean, yeah, you just said it. Like, hey, I'm
Yeah.
nice.
So soccer kind of made the decision for me. When I after my freshman year at high school in Sacramento, I was playing basketball and soccer, and then once I went to residency, it's like all soccer. But I came back my senior year, and people were asking me like if I'm going to pick up basketball again, and at that point, I was too committed. Other than that, I played like volleyball for a year. That was actually one of the most fun I had playing the sport.
What position did you play in volleyball?
Everything. It was like eighth grade though. It wasn't like yeah.
Oh,
It was just
okay,
fun with
okay,
the
okay.
friends.
I thought, all right,
I
all
did
right, all right,
track for a
all right,
week.
all right.
Track, nah, I don't know how people just run to run. And then I did
I
football.
ran I ran track Amobi, man, and I ran a 4x1 and
Oh,
a
so
100,
you
and I did
you
long
got some
jump.
speed on you.
Yeah, I did long jump and high jump. And the reason that I did it, I wanted to develop my first
Yeah,
step. It helped. However, track meets are not for the it's not for the weak, man. You might be sitting 4 hours to wait for your event, and like I couldn't do it. It's hot
yeah.
outside, and the event is 7 hours. Your event might be at the end of it. So I was like, you know what, this ain't for
I
me,
feel
man.
you on that.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, I like to ask the question because it's so for this is my first time speaking to a professional soccer player,
Hmm.
right? But with, for example, for some football players, um, and for my European listeners, American football, uh, for some football players, of course for some of them they're exceptional athletes on the football field. But when you see them play basketball, you like,
Yeah,
whoa, like what the he can do that, windmill dunks and step back three,
yeah.
they got everything, right? So the fact that you said that, no, I'm not just a soccer player, man, like, and like I said, man, I saw your IG, man, you was setting the pace and the tempo like John Stockton, man. I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I didn't expect this, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, it's
yeah,
funny
yeah.
because like,
Yeah, so that's why I asked
no,
it.
it's funny
Yeah.
because we all swear we could play other sports, and it just gives you an appreciation when you're watching. Like when I watch sports, I used to hate baseball. I was like, that's the most boring sport. Anyone could play it. Then my buddy, who was in the league, he was like, "All right, I'm gonna take you to the batting cages," and it was a whole different
Hmm.
experience. So not only does like the cross training help you in your specific sport, but it gives you an appreciation for, sports in general and like what everyone's doing. So
Yeah, no, no question. No question. All right, so we're at high school graduation. You choose UCLA. Was that a hard decision, or was it just a no brainer once you took your
yeah,
visit?
once you take the visit, it's a no brainer. So even my dad, he was like, because he really wanted Stanford, but he was like, once I went to the campus, he like knew. He's like, if I would have known, I would have just never let you do the official visit because once you get to UCLA's
Uh
campus, it's different. Westwood is different.
did your host look out
Yeah, the
for you?
host looked out for me. Like, yeah, everyone looked out for me. It was a good time. It wasn't he got game, Jesus Shuttlesworth type,
I
but
was, I was just about to make reference to that movie, man. It's funny. I was just about to say, hey, we saw he got game, man. I mean, I would have went to Big
yeah,
State too.
it wasn't to that extent, but it was a good time.
Uh, okay, nice. So we're pushing through the story. What's your mindset like going onto campus, UCLA's campus as a freshman? Because UCLA and USC, I mean, they're in the heart of the city, and you have a lot of different
Mhm.
personalities. You have, you know, the children of mega stars on campus. What is it like for you to get on campus? Are you just like, hey, I'm here, or did you get to a place where you were looking around like, wow, we not in Kansas anymore? Like what?
Nah, that's a great point. I think it was a combination of both because obviously you know why you're here. You have an opportunity to represent, yourself, your family, obviously the team. So being a student athlete at UCLA is not something to take lightly. You know the history of talent that's come through UCLA. But then sometimes you just be walking, and just because it's like you said, it's like the heart of LA, Westwood. You'd see like just stars, just like walking past you like it was nothing, and I'm like, wait, what? Huh? Like no one else saw it, and it's like, no, this is regular. So it took like a little bit of a shock to like get used to it. I'll be in class with some kid that's like a trust fund baby or like daughter of a celebrity, and I'm like, they
Hmm.
just like it's a whole different landscape for them. But um, I knew what I was there for, and I knew that why I needed to do and stay disciplined in the way I needed to be.
Okay, so we talked about your experience coming on campus. I mean, what was and we're gonna get to what happens, a little bit later, in that year. But how did the team perform? Was they call it being a student
Yeah,
athlete? I mean, for most of us, we
yeah,
know we're athletes
yeah,
first. Um, but for our
yeah.
parents, we're students first. We understand that, we take care of that. But what is how does that first year go?
So for me, it's quick adjustment period. So luckily, UCLA is on like trimesters, so our season started before the actual school. So it gave us some time to get
Right. Okay.
acclimated to like the routine, the rituals, like knowing where everything is on campus. But then once school starts, it's a grind. You got to balance not only school but and soccer, or soccer first and school, because if you're not performing, your scholarship goes away. uh,
Yeah.
and then also social life, because I mean you're a freshman, you're trying to meet like UCLA has thousands of kids there, and obviously you're in your little cohort, your little tribe with the team and the sports community. But there's other people, so many amazing people on campus or in your dorm rooms that you want to connect with. So trying to balance all three,
Right.
that a lot of people don't see. They only see like what we see on TV.
Right.
It's a grind, it's a balance, but I wouldn't have changed it for the world. I think UCLA sets up their student athletes in a unique way, and I was able to take advantage of it. I think the key piece for me was the having those trimesters, so I was already on campus for like a month before school actually started.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually participated in freshman
Oh
orientation
yeah,
as
I did that
well.
too.
And yeah, and for me, we went on a retreat and stuff. And, coming from where I come from in South Carolina, we're not exposed to a lot of interaction with people who are not of black
Yeah.
descent, so for me to be in a cabin, far away from any big city with all of these different people from
Uh-huh.
wherever, it was a shell shock. However, I think that was the best thing that I could have done,
Just immerse yourself.
because yeah, man, just kind of immerse myself in that culture, and it allowed me to be ready for where I am right
Hmm.
now. Being in Europe for so many years, it allowed me to adjust. So yeah, getting on campus early is pretty
Yeah, I,
important.
I realize why some of those football players will like graduate early from high school and then go to college
Yeah.
like that back semester before the season even starts. It makes a lot of sense. And then to your point
Yeah.
about like the team, we had a good freshman class. Like our freshman class on paper was highly recruited, and then we had a great senior class too. So between the two classes, our team was really good. We ended up winning the Pac-12, and then we made it all the way to the Elite Eight. I still think we should have won that
Hmm.
game, but things happen. But it was a good season by all accounts,
Yeah.
and um, it was amazing to be a part of that run.
All right. So I made an earlier reference to what happens at the end of the season. So your freshman year is over. I mean, you tell me
Okay.
what's happening after your freshman year is
Yeah.
over. Like,
So
what's going on with
for
the
me,
team?
freshman,
You made it to the
yeah,
Elite
from
Eight.
freshman year is over. We had a good season. People were surprised that we did so well. We ended up losing to the eventual, not champions, eventual Final Four. Final Four. Obviously, another Final Four. Yeah,
Participants. So
participants.
yeah.
But they were supposed like our game was like the highest taught out game of the whole tournament. Um, and then seniors not graduate, but they try to figure out if they're gonna go pro or not, or whatever they're gonna do with their lives. I had youth, I had U20 camp, so like from there finished my finals, and then I went to U20 camp. Then I came back to school to like for winter break to like pack up my stuff and go back home.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
it was funny because at the time, agents are talking to myself and my parents about the possibility of going pro. Like there's a high opportunity if you declare for the draft, you're going to be a first round pick, top 10, top
Did you
15.
did you feel did you feel it? Did you really like say to yourself like, "Oh, I'm league," or when you got the information, was it like word?
Yeah,
Like,
you're right.
like
It was
what
more
was
like
it?
word. Like I knew. I mean, I was playing for the youth national team, so I know people were like watching me. But like to go pro, I was like after my freshman year, I was like word for real. So it
That's
was like
crazy.
kind of like yeah, like you said, like not like a state of confusion, but it was like really. So meanwhile, my dad, as I'm packing, it's funny. My roommate Evan, I was packing my stuff, and my dad's like, "Yo, pack everything because you don't know if you're coming back." So as I'm packing everything, everyone's like, "Wait, why are you?"
So dad is keeping
Yeah,
it real.
he was like, "Why are you taking it? Like, why are you taking your bed sheets? Why are you taking your TV?" And my dad's hilarious. He was like, "Oh, you're not gonna wash your bed sheets? You might as well take your bed sheets too, because we didn't want to like uh, give it
Give
up
it up.
before we
Yeah.
even knew what we were deciding." So I come back to Sacramento. I think we had like another U20 camp, and then just they made an offer. I talked to the coach. He said, you can go now and you have a great chance to succeed. You'd be a top 10, top 12 pick for sure. Or you could wait till next year, make another run, and you'd be a top 3 pick guaranteed. But whatever you decide, um, it's been a blessing to coach you. So he kept it all the way real with me. So I'm always thankful for him for that. Some coaches try to like keep the
Wow.
truth from you or hold you back, but
Of course.
yeah, he
Yeah.
was really good about it. So ended up going back home, talking to my parents, going over the potential scenarios and deal. There was an offer to go overseas as well, but putting everything together, going to declare for the draft was the best decision for me.
It's a
Yeah, no
no-brainer.
brainer.
Oh, man, that's so I told you all that we were having an episode of firsts. We also have our first round draft pick on on the show
Uh-huh.
too. So hey, it's I told you guys it's this one is a special one. Okay, so I mean, so you decide to go to the
Yeah.
draft. Leading up to the draft, is it just like do you know where you're gonna play, or is it a situation where it's just like
Nah, yeah, no idea,
whatever?
man. To be honest, like I was protected to go top 10, top 15, and then we had like the like the combine. And at the combine, my agent kind of laid it out. Like, so he was like, basically like the tiers. Like, if you get picked top three, if you get picked top five, if you get picked top 10, top 15, these are your like bonuses. And I was like, all right, bet. Like, if people say I'm in this range, like we gonna make sure this combine. I'm gonna let people know like I'm that guy. And
Yeah.
combine, we had like combine's way different from like NFL and stuff. We had like the interviews, we do like kind of like scrimmage games, and I just killed it. I ended up getting like MVP of the combine, and that jumped um, my stock, I guess, to like top six, top seven, and ended
Ooh.
up having the draft. My family came out, everyone except my immediate younger brother because he had a conflict, and then the draft happened.
Okay.
Ended up getting picked with the sixth pick to Philadelphia, and the rest is history.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I mean that's an amazing story, man. Like I mean, but one thing that I like to talk about Amobi is the mindset behind
Mm-hmm.
it. Because our story is our story, but people have to understand the inner workings of why this stuff happens. My college coach, he used to say, sometimes you're good, sometimes you're lucky. So it's that's how it goes. But in order to capitalize on any particular situation, you have to be mentally prepared to get it
Facts.
done. Okay, because I think we all understand that once we commit to it in our minds, the physical part, I mean, that's just what it
Mm-hmm.
is. And it doesn't matter if you're playing sports or in business or whatever. Once we commit to it mentally and we actually put our foot, we do
Mm-hmm.
the work, it's gonna happen. And for you, you went into the draft like, oh, you said top 15? No. Let me go get this top 10 real
Yeah.
quick. Like, nah, like hold up, wait a second. So tell tell me a little bit about that because you are a financial expert. In soccer, are there guaranteed contracts for first round draft picks? And of course, I'm not going to
Yeah.
ask you how much money you made, but how does it work in soccer? Because I know now MLS soccer is
Mm-hmm.
big. Like you have some major European talents coming over
Facts.
to the states to play
Facts.
now. So what is it like for a first round draft pick? Are you guaranteed 3 years like in the NBA? Like how
No,
does
it's a
that
great
work?
question and it's a great point because every contract, every league is different. Every sport is different. So, for MLS specifically, I was able because I left early from school. I signed a Generation Adidas contract. So at the time, Generation Adidas was a partnership with Adidas to entice players to come out younger, um, because they're trying to
Okay.
grow the game of soccer, get better American talent to get pro at a younger level. So I had a guaranteed contract, regardless of if I was going to get drafted in the first round, second round, third round, or even undrafted. Um,
Okay.
but if you're a senior, you'll get drafted in the first round. You may get your signing bonus, but you still have to make the team. Whereas if you're a Generation Adidas or a homegrown now, there's all these different mechanisms. Usually you'll have a guaranteed guaranteed contract, and then based on where you get picked, additional add-ons and stuff that's negotiated in your contract will either be
Of
in
course.
or out moving forward.
Yeah. So you were an Adidas
Yeah.
athlete. I mean, what did that happen in your whole career
So
or?
throughout my whole career in MLS, I was a Generation Adidas athlete for my first contract, and then once you ideally sign on your second contract, you're usually still sponsored by Adidas, but you're not a Generation Adidas contract anymore. I mean, you still
Yeah,
have
yeah,
this, you
right.
still have the agreements in your contract, like
But
yeah, you grow
you
out of
grow
that
out
step.
of the
Exactly.
generation,
You
yeah,
still get your
stage.
education
Okay.
reimbursement. You still get your stipends. You still get all that stuff that you agreed upon. But you, like you said, you kind of graduate to like, all right, you're an athlete now. You're not just Generation Adidas.
Okay. So small minded thinking me at this time, you got those Yeezys?
No, no, for real. That was like, yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, hey,
We did get the first like the turtle dove pair. Like, I
yeah,
think like
okay,
most of the Adidas sponsored athletes in the league, we all got a pair. Um, but yeah, they try to get you
nice.
some perks, like they send you a FIFA game and stuff like that. Little perks to just try to keep
Yeah.
you happy. But at the end of the day, it's not everything, as you know.
Ah, man.
Yeah,
I mean, shoes get old,
exactly.
they get stinky and stuff. I mean, all of that stuff goes out of play. All right, so Moby, like we talked about, the process leading up to it. Um, Before we push forward in the story, what is life like for you stepping into Philly for the first time? You coming from California, like sunny California,
Man,
and now you have to play an outdoor sport in Philadelphia. Like,
yeah. I
all right, tell me about
Cali
Philly.
boys. You Cali boys. We like sun. We like peace. We like calm.
You guys love your weather,
Yes.
man. Y'all don't you don't flake on it. You like, yo, it's cold out here. I'm calling my agent.
So yeah, Philly was a rude awakening, especially because they say city of brotherly love, and it's anything but true. Uh, so that first year, like 2 years, I'm telling you, like if we had 2 days off, I was back to Cali. Like,
What?
I'd be like red eyed.
Were you? I was about to say, were you
No,
chartering
no, no, no.
flights?
I ain't. We doing
Okay,
Southwest, Delta, American Airlines. Like, but
okay,
like I was a
yeah,
Cali boy. Like, I don't want to say like homesick or like homebody, but I just was not rocking with Philly. And then I just like learned to like,
okay.
I'm gonna be here for minimum 3 years. Let me embrace it. And now Philly's like my second home, or one of my like second homes. Like, I love Philly. It really grows on you. It's a city that made me from. I came in as a boy, came out a man. Um, it's a city of brotherly love, a city of brotherly tough love. That's what I like to say. Um,
I've seen many of fans boo their professional athletes in that city,
it's all out
man,
of love,
in
though. It's all
Philly.
out of love and passion.
Oh man. Hey, listen, man. I knew Philly was sick when Kobe came back and they booed him, man. I'm like,
Yeah,
come on, man. Like I know the Sixers are playing the
yeah,
Lakers, but
yeah. You don't
dang,
do
like
that.
this your
That's your
boy.
boy. That's a
Yeah,
homegrown.
this your boy, man. Come
Um,
on.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so it really took like me to like, I don't want to say do some soul searching, but really just like, I'm here, let me embrace it. But like those initial that first year and a half, I was like 3 days back to Cali. 2 days, I would like I'm probably gonna be back to Cali. It would be to a point like I fly back, I'm there in Cali for a day, then I'm flying back to Philly. But just to get like, I need the In and Out burger, I need my mom's cooking, I need the Cali weather.
Oh man.
But at some point, maybe because the frugal in me, I was like, you know what, let me embrace Philly. I'm not trying to pay for all these flights.
Yeah, yeah. We're gonna get to that too, though, about the frugal. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we're gonna get to that. So, all right. So you're in Philly, you're playing, and of course, leading up to the episode. Well, first of all, we were introduced by my college teammate and a good friend, Layden Williams. And when he introduced us together, I was like, man, this guy is really interesting. So what of course, when you bring on someone who you don't know for a long time, you, you have to do some
Right.
research. So I researched you, and in your career, you played in multiple cities. What is that process like moving from one city, Philly, which is the city that you had come to love, to then being loaned to another team. Was it a loan, or did you completely change your
So I
contract
completely
after
Yeah,
you
after
moved
after my
from
initial
Philly?
contract with Philadelphia and spent 5 years there, I signed a new contract with Orlando. And then that wasn't even my final stop. From there, I signed. I got traded to Kansas City. Got released from Kansas City. Got picked up by Portland. Between Portland, I had a couple trials and like stints with DC United and New York. And then after Portland, I was a year as a free agent, and then settled in Austin before I eventually
Hmm.
retired. So like,
And that's where we're going
go
next. So yeah, I want to stop you,
ahead.
right? Because again, pacing, right? I want to make sure we have a very good pace, because I want to make sure we get all of the details of your story. So you play 5 years in Philly, and you start to bounce around. And you and I, in our pre recording meeting, we talked a little bit about this. When did you know it's time to? All right, before I finish the question, so Fred Taylor, right, on another podcast, The Pivot, um, he made a very poignant statement, and he said, "I don't want to call it a retirement, because retirement kind of signals that we're just going to take all of our money and
Yeah.
go lay up in a beach in Cabo." He said, "A career change." And when he said it, I said, "You know what? I'm going to write that in my phone." So I made note of it. So instead of me saying, "How did you know you're going to retire?" I want to ask you, when did you feel the career change coming?
No, I love that question and like that statement because usually I say I find my second game. So for me, I
Second
found my
game. I
second
love
game
that. Yeah.
um, around 2000. I wouldn't say, actually I found my second game um, the day I got drafted. To be honest,
Okay.
because when I got drafted, my dad told me, "Congratulations, Nigerian parents, congratulations. You're now closer to the end of your career than the start of it." So I'm like, "Wait, what?
Ooh. All
Thank
right.
you.
All
You're
right,
welcome."
pops.
Like,
I
yo, I
like
just got
that.
drafted. Everyone's
That's
saying
tough. That's
congratulations,
tough.
but he was just trying to get me in the mindset, like, take advantage of your career. Make sure you continue to use
That's
soccer as
tough.
a vehicle, and you know, you, sports is not going to last forever. So
That's
yeah,
tough.
so
Yeah.
it was kind of like to entice me, like, remember what you promised myself and my mom. You're going to continue your education. Obviously, the soccer will take care of itself, but don't just use this like you haven't made it yet. This is not like you didn't win the lottery. You're still gonna have to, find your second game after you're done playing. So, but like to really
Mm.
like hone in, like we talked about, offline in our previous conversation. Um, Probably when I started a frugal athlete, and I know we're gonna get into that later, but when I started a frugal
Yeah.
athlete and started to like get into like dive into like the day to day, that's when I started like, all right, this is my second game. This type of business development, innovation strategy, marketing, creating content, strategic partnerships, all the things that we talk about uh, kind of religiously offline. That's when I was
Right.
like, all right, this is my second game. Let me start planting some seeds. So when I do decide to take the final shot, that I'm already bouncing the ball, dribbling the ball in this next game.
Yeah, I mean, and the reason why it's important, like that I'm really thankful that I got a chance to meet you, is because you're on the other side of it
Mhm.
now, and I'm kind of in the, I wouldn't even call it a storm, but it's like kind of swimming in the wave
Yeah.
pool. I'm in the wave right now.
Yeah.
you know, so I'm going from being fully committed to sports to now being in a place where I love doing
Mhm.
this. I love creating content and just
Yeah.
doing it. Like I love recording episodes and talking to people like you who I've never met
Hmm.
before, but we can have these types of conversations. I love this. So I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say anything right
Yeah.
now. But
Yeah.
when you driving to practice and you thinking about, when and for me, I'm calling my wife like, hey, can you open up the laptop and go to this file and do this
Yeah.
for me real quick. When I start to think about stuff like that and not think about game film,
Yeah.
eh, you know,
But,
I ain't gonna say it
yeah.
right now, but it's yeah. So I really wanted to ask you that on air about the feeling, because I think for all players for most players who go through a long career, you get this feeling, and for some players they never address
Yeah.
it, and what it does is it leaves them behind the mark,
Hmm.
so they struggle after they finish
That's true.
playing. And for me, I don't want that. I want to embrace the fact that I'm ready. So when I felt it, I was like, okay, this is
Hmm.
real. This is not for play. Yeah. So talk to me about a frugal athlete. When did that start to when was that seed planted? Because you said it came before your eventual career change, or your second
Hmm.
game. When was the seed for a frugal athlete planted
So
in you?
Frugal Athlete was planted around 2016, 2017, right immediately after I saw the 30 for 30 Broke documentary. And the 30 for 30 Broke documentary, if you haven't seen it, is essentially kind of like a documentary around the athletes and the pitfalls they have financially due to a number of different reasons: bad spending habits, financial decisions, lack of financial literacy, emotional blackmail, financial advisors, shady investments, all that. And after watching that, I was like, whoa, like these are basketball, baseball, NFL players that are like making big stacks. And I was fortunate enough to, make some good money, but not to that level. So I was like, if they are making the mistakes at that level, I need to double down and make sure I'm doing good things with my money. And, I was doing good things. I was making sure I was frugal and stuff, but it just kind of scared me in the sense of like, all right, I need to like just like hone in because they have like money to like disposable income that they can make mistakes off of. And I was like,
Yeah.
I do, but I don't. And so I was like, all right, let me find some athletes that I can use as role models. Like I want to follow their footsteps. It's always good to see who's done it before. And I was doing research, and it was like LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, rest in peace, Tom Brady, Serena Williams, and I'm like, I could take lessons from them, but these are anomalies, like superstars,
Yes.
top 1%. So I was like, all right, let me do some more
Yeah.
research. There's a lot of professional athletes that have come and gone. And what I found, this athlete went broke for this reason. This athlete did this. This athlete got half his money lost in the divorce. And I was like, oh, I already saw the broke documentary. I'm not trying to follow that. So I started a Frugal Athlete was basically like, yo, I'm going to create a platform and an ecosystem where we can find roadmaps of athletes at all levels, athletes that we can like touch and feel and showcase their smart career decisions and prudent financial practices. And so it started off as a blog. Once a week, I would pick an athlete, highlight some things that they've done with their career, highlight some things they've done with their money, why I feel like they're a frugal athlete, and then kind of go from there. And then since then, it's blossomed into, I like to say, a financial media platform.
Man, it's so crazy that you made reference to the broke 30 for 30. I was prepping myself in the
Yeah.
shower for this interview, and I said, "Oh, I'm going to make a reference to
Uh-huh.
broke," because it's so crazy how that one documentary just I don't know, man, it just captured athletes.
Exactly.
Y- and it put a fear in your heart, right? Because you see people who have made 200 million, 300 million. They've lost 100 million. For a player that may have made 2 million or 100K or 30K, you are also subject to being
Yeah.
God, because everyone wants the money. And for you to see something like that and be like, okay, like, nah, let me get myself together. That's big. That broke documentary was so important, even for a person like me. When I saw it, I was captivated by it,
Exactly.
and my jaw dropped. Like, wait, you did what?
Exactly. It's like
And
what?
uh, uh, but I also think a big part of it, Amobi, and I don't want to be too long winded. I think a big part of it is everyone thinks they can be a
Hmm.
billionaire when that's not
Yeah,
reality.
it's like there's like 6 billion people in the world, and like less than 100, 200 billionaires. I'm pretty sure. Uh,
Yeah, and if you get 100 million, you think you're gonna flip it, but come on, man, like why not try to at least keep the
the
100 million?
principle, right?
You
Yeah.
know, yeah, just keep that. Why? Let's try doing that. Yeah. So so this is a question that I really wanted to ask you, man. What? All right. So you get into professional soccer, you get into the MLS. You were young. Tell me about one purchase that you made that right
Uh
now,
huh.
you being a frugal athlete, tell me about the one purchase that you made right now that you cringe at, just even thinking about. Like you can see the receipt in your head. Like what was that one purchase?
One purchase. I would probably say it wasn't like it's not even like a bad purchase, but it's just like it just shows you how quick you can like spend money. I should say. So how the boys trip to Vegas made made a kill. Like I don't want to say made a killing, but had a good time. Made some good money, and
Okay.
um, I made two mistakes. I told some people close to me how the trip went, and
Oh
next thing you
no.
know, they're
Oh
like,
no.
next thing you know, like, well, we need a new couch. So
Oh
ended up,
no.
so I was like, here you go. That's 5,000 right there.
Oh gosh,
But to
no.
be honest, it was like it wasn't from my main. I like to identify like money. I got my war chest and I got my artillery and I got like my bunker. So obviously, money in my bunker that no one's allowed to touch it. That's for my future, my investments.
Yeah.
Got my
Yeah.
war chest. That's like emergency fund. Someone's trying to hit the
Yeah.
pockets, get into the war chest. We good to go. And then my
For
artillery
sure.
is like when I'm on the offense. Daily purchases, yeah,
Making
making plays,
plays.
stuff like that. So, um, I gotta write that down.
But where did that come from, Moby? Like, I mean, of course, like you made a lot of references to your dad giving you tons of wisdom. And even for me, like hearing it now for, us, this is the first time, that we discuss
Mm.
your dad, right? Like, even the gems that he dropped on you back then, like I'm hearing them now. And I'm like, yeah, Pops, like
Yeah,
that's like word.
yeah.
Like, so where did that knowledge of, artillery, war chest, you know, my money to make plays. Where did that come from? That was that put into you long time ago?
Yeah, so it's a combination of like my experiences as a child. My parents instilled in me like so many different things, so many different gems across the board. Not just financial, but personal development, career wise, just how to navigate and network and understand like the way the world works. And then experiences on my own, as a professional soccer player. And then I think what's been great about my parents is that they both love to use stories and lessons to get their points across. So I'm always big on
Okay.
like analogies. So like when I say artillery and
Yeah.
war
All right.
chest and bunker, or like you need to diversify. Like if you're a general manager, you're not just getting 5 LeBrons. Like you got to get some
Right.
like rookies. You got to get some veterans. You got to get some role players. And it's the same holds true with your finances. Like you're not going all in on one thing. So trying to use like different analogies just because it helps clarify and explain what I'm trying to get across in a better way.
Okay. So, all right, I'm gonna ask you one nonsensical
Okay.
question before we get into the real stuff. So, you are a frugal athlete, and I'm over here in Europe, and okay, soccer is
Yeah.
king. So,
Facts.
the football players for my Europe, football players, they the ballers, all right? So they do it. So being in the MLS, have you ever, even though you're a frugal athlete, have you ever been around one teammate or multiple teammates where they weren't so
Oh yeah,
frugal and you
definitely,
said to yourself, like, yo,
definitely,
like what is
definitely.
you buying
Yeah,
what?
definitely. I've seen it at
Yeah.
all levels, and some people actually like got it, and some people just have the persona of I'm a professional athlete, so I got to spend, even though my pockets ain't like that. And who am I to judge?
Mm.
I'm not counting anyone's pockets, but uh, I like to think long term. I like to think frugally, but I have seen it, and as athletes, it's tough because if you see it right next to you, you might have tendency to follow in that footsteps. That's just how we
Yeah.
are,
Yeah. Yeah.
naturally
Yeah.
competitive, always
Yeah.
been in the locker room. But I've seen the good from it, and I've seen the bad from it, and yeah, that's all. That's all. All I can elaborate on.
That's
Yeah,
it. Yeah, it
it
ain't
ain't me.
me.
It ain't me. Yeah.
You got it, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really want to ask you this as well. So you started a frugal athlete. You talk about some of the highs and the lows, the ebbs and flows of financial responsibility for professional athletes of all economic statuses. Why was it? Why did you want to share this information? Like Amobi, you made the money
Yeah.
for yourself, and you put different things in place for yourself to make sure that you're successful. Why is it important to you to give that information to other athletes?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, initially, it wasn't really like it was more selfish. Like I was just genuinely curious for my own sake. Like I wanted to find athletes like
Hmm.
whether if I write about them, then it'll be easier to connect with them and like and then eventually I got to the point where like no one else is doing it, why not me? And if I do it, then I could be kind of
Okay.
like a leader in the space and a subject matter expert, which will hopefully lead me to opportunities when I pursue my second game. And I've always wanted to be in business development, strategic partnerships, from this type of angle. So it's like, all right, let me showcase something that I'm doing. And then from there, a mentor of mine challenged me to like build it out into like something formidable, like an actual business. And because at the time it was just a blog, I wasn't really consistent. And he was like, "Yo,
So you were just
yeah,
writing at one
I was
point.
already doing school, so this was like writing was not a problem for me. I look somebody up, or I look up information, and I'm like, oh, cool, let me just write about it. Paragraph or two, kind of just go from there. And
Hmm.
once I built it out, my a mentor of mine was like, "Yo, you have something here. Keep at it, but like if you're gonna do it all the way." And I was like build a business? He was like, "Yeah, like you can make a killing if you do this the right way, because you're serving a need and you're speaking in it from a firsthand experience. And the way the world
Right.
is going, financial literacy is going to be, athlete empowerment is going to be like paramount. And I'm glad I follow
Oh
that."
man, just think about college
Yeah,
athletics now
exactly.
and how important what you're doing is to
Yeah,
18-year-olds who are like you.
exactly.
You left college after 1 year. So you talk about firsthand experience, and I'm gonna get back to, because I don't want to get too far off track. But you talk about firsthand experience, and I think a lot of athletes have troubles with firsthand experience, and this is why I say this. Um, they get a ton of money,
Hmm.
and the people who are consulting with them, whether it be family or whatever, they don't know anything about money.
That's true. That's true.
And those are usually the people who, have their
Uh
trust,
huh.
right? So, even for mom, right? For not speaking for either one of us, but even for mom, we grew up hard. We grew up in a certain neighborhood. We grew up in a certain type of way. Mom worked really hard. I love mom. She has a great heart. She has a great spirit, but she's never had
Hmm.
$30 million.
Exactly.
Or Uncle Junebug. Like, he's never had 30 million. So how is he going to tell me how to spend 30
Yeah.
million? And you talk about that firsthand experience, which is very, very, very important. It's awesome that someone like you is willing to share their information. And for a lot of people, they would withhold it. I
Yeah.
mean, they would hold it close to the vest and say, you know what, I got my money. I'm gonna get some
Yeah.
more, but I'm gonna keep it away from this person. Maybe he can invest in some of my stuff. So it's amazing that you're doing it in the right way with a good heart,
No,
man. And
appreciate that.
yeah, when I see what you're doing with a frugal athlete, it's I mean, I of course we just met a couple weeks ago, but I'm looking through your page and I'm looking at the interviews. And I'm like, man, that's Jim. I'm writing it down, man. Like, even for a person like me, like I'm just, getting to it. And I'm like, man, this is good stuff. So, all right. You have a great soccer career. You've gotten to a point where you've gained a massive level of financial literacy. You being respectful and responsible to the process. You leave the sport of soccer, and then you receive an illustrious award. You become a member, an inductee of the Forbes 30 under 30. What is, well, first, yeah, first, what does that mean to you?
To be honest, it's quite of an accomplishment. I put it up there with some of like my biggest accomplishments from a career standpoint, just because at the beginning of the year I put it on my vision board, like my manifestation. Like,
Oh wow. So that's something that you
yeah, I
aim
aimed
for.
for it, but I didn't really. I mean, I didn't really take an active approach to like get there, if that makes sense. But
Okay.
because,
Yeah.
I put it on my mind and I made sure I was doing steps to grow my business and grow my profile and grow my a frugal athlete, God has a funny way of like putting it back on top of mine. So there happened to be
Right.
something that came across my page about, Forbes application for Forbes 30 under 30. At the time, my age was like the last year to like make sure I would qualify for the 430 under 30, and I ended up filling out
Yeah.
like a self nomination application, and
Yeah.
did a whole approach and didn't really hear back. I like they said I didn't really hear back. I had like one call. They're like thank you, but didn't hear back until somebody hit me up like at 6 o'clock in the morning. He was like, "Yo, congrats, man! I saw the Forbes," and I was like, the Forbes. I didn't do no interview with them. He was like, nah, and he just sent me the link, and I was like, what? So like, it's just you know,
That's crazy
yeah.
that that's the way that you found out.
When you manifest, yeah,
Like, hello,
exactly. So,
Forbes. What? Yo,
so when you manifest certain
I didn't even
things,
get a chance to
yeah, when
prepare.
you
Yeah,
manifest
yeah.
certain things, and like, I don't want to say put it to the wayside, but like just do the work. God just has a funny way of putting things in front of your path for you to accomplish.
Man, it's so amazing like that you bring up manifestation, Moby, because on my show, on my platform, excuse me, I love to manifest my
Hmm.
destiny, and I love for my guests to come on and do the same thing.
Okay.
And it's mainly because throughout my life experiences, I found that there's power in words,
Facts.
and it does something for our own psyche, to just speak the craziest things into
Yeah.
existence. And I think, for you, you put it on your vision board, and for me, I say I'm starting to do it a little bit more now, because I thought
Hmm.
small. And I don't mean to go off track, but for my show, I only wanted to do 8 episodes, and in those 8 episodes, I would have been in my comfort zone. I talked to my wife. My daughter is on an episode. One of my best friends. Blah 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 blah. I had 8 episodes planned for the first season, and then I had a conversation with Layden, and I have a person like you on the show. And when he sent the email about you, I said, I'm thinking too small.
Hmm.
I set myself up because I didn't speak the right things into existence. But when he said, "Hey, I have a person who's really good for your show," and I mean, that's my guy. I really like him. I was like, "Wait, had I been prepared for it, I would have said it."
Hmm.
And it would have done something for my own psyche. So as soon as I got the information, I changed everything. So because I felt that and I experienced that, I said, okay, I love to hear, the word manifestation because it means a lot, man. And it might sound crazy to other people, but whatever is for us, it's not for everybody else anyway.
Facts.
You know,
Preach that.
it's not for
Yeah.
them. You know, like we can if I were to tell people what I want to do with my show right now, they'd be like, Rob, you're
Yeah.
tripping. But I got the
Yeah.
vision. I got it from the big guy. I got it for the
You got
God,
it from the
man.
big,
Like
yeah, the big boss. Like,
I got the vision. I got it from the boss, man. I so if I tell other people about it, I don't even think about their perception
mhm.
of that vision because I know it's for me.
And you bring up a great
You
point.
know,
You bring up a great point from the standpoint of like when you say like thinking small and like having a growth mindset when it comes to manifestation. And you know, our mutual friend, your former teammate, the guy who connected us, Layden. Like, just look at his story. Like from
yeah,
working in finance to saying, I want to work in sports. Like, and then 3 years later, he's doing like his dream job. And then like you and the podcast, like I'm sure you didn't start off with the mic and now you got the mic cover and you got the headphones set. It was just 8 episodes, and like similar to me, like I was just thinking small, like, and it's crazy because as athletes we think big, like yo, any soccer player come on the field, I got them, like it don't matter. But then when it
yes,
comes to the
yeah,
business, how come we don't carry that can't carry that same mindset over? So that was a big thing for me.
that's very
Power of
important.
words, like you said, manifestation, like you said, and like just thinking from a growth mindset. And like, yo, if you think like reach for the moon, worst came to worst, you land on the stars. So you already, So
That's
I
it.
appreciate you
Yeah.
sharing that for real, for real.
No, man. No, it's real, man. Like and you know, our us having this conversation on the platform is just living proof of that. So speaking of manifestation, Amobi, I love to ask this question to my guest on the show. What is the perfect scenario for Amobi Okugo? What's the perfect scenario? It,
Yeah.
it's up to you on what you want to share, personal or business or both. Like it's up to you. But what's the perfect setup if there is
No, I
one?
love that. Yeah. So for me personally, the dream is to be, an athlete, entrepreneur, creator. So a frugal athlete, obviously that's my baby. So wanted to be the ecosystem of everything personal finance, money management, but just from a sports business athlete lens. But I also want to work as a business development and strategic partnerships consultant, help facilitate, ideas, people, companies, ultimately creating more value for them. And then want to be
Mm,
a host. Like, so I love doing podcasts. I love doing TV, like not TV shows, but hosting video segments and stuff like that. Coming up with
yeah,
different pitches and ideas for that. That's like my trifecta: frugal athlete, talent host, and then business strategic partnerships consultant. That's my trifecta. If I can get that, and which I am making steps towards, that's we in we in a good spot.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh man, listen. Hey, you said
yeah.
it. I didn't say it. You said it, man. You already laid it out, man. And I'm sure it's on your vision board. And
I'm gonna need
yeah.
that clip for
So yeah,
sure.
thank you for yeah. You got it. You got it. So all right. So you laid out your perfect setup and things that you want to do in your life. Tell me what's next. What's next for you? What's next for Frugal Athlete? Tell me if whatever you can
Oh,
share
most
because
definitely.
if there's some NDAs out there, don't share that. We don't want any lawsuits to pop up.
Respect.
But yeah,
We
what's
on the
next?
couch, so we keep it all the way real. So for me personally, right now,
Yeah.
just found my second game. So transition out of professional soccer. Right now, doing some contract and freelance work as a consultant on the business development and strategic partnership side for a couple different companies. Frugal Athlete is growing, so we're trying to fix up our programming, fix up our some of our courses and curriculums, and just try to get in front of as
Mm,
many athletes, student athletes, organizations as possible. We got some things in the pipeline that we hopefully can announce very soon, and hopefully that's just a snowball
hmm
effect for different things in that arena. And then outside of that, definitely just trying to get my personal brand content up because I want to be a host and in order to host. They got to do more
Yeah.
stuff. So, different projects outside of a Frugal athlete, making content, pitching ideas, just really trying to work into that trifecta of what I spoke about earlier. And that's kind of the vision.
Yeah, man. Hey, listen, I love it, man. And for me, I'm kind of on the same plane. Of course, not identical, but I'm on the same plane, man. Like I love sharing with other
Mm-hmm.
creatives, and I've said this on another episode. Like for a long time, I used to be envious of creatives or creators. So poets and writers and musicians, and I was always envious of them because they had something to put out into the
Uh-huh.
world, and it's gonna last forever as long as there's physical copies and internet,
Facts.
right? So for many years, I said to myself, like, I, I wish I could do that. And then it goes back to the vision that I got. When I got the vision, it was on. I went to school for communications or whatever, but people look down on
Yeah.
communications, degrees. They're like, oh man, that's nothing. But when I got the vision, I don't know, Moby, man, like it allowed me to create. And the fact that my brain is working in this way, I'm so thankful,
Mm-hmm.
man. I'm thankful that I have ideas flying all the time and I can go to my notebook. I'm in my second book of notes now,
Love
man.
it.
6
Yeah.
months, two notebooks, smashed them. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? And it goes from a person that didn't have it. So yeah, to hear you talk about this, man, for us to have this conversation, man, I'm so thankful,
Yeah.
man. So listen, so we're gonna wrap up soon. I know you're a busy man. It's a Saturday. Um, but before we get off, share your socials and where people can find you and where people can follow you. And yeah,
Nah, man,
whatever.
appreciate you for real, for real. I think this was a conversation that needed to be had, and once you're back stateside, we're definitely gonna find a way to link up in person. But
No doubt.
socials at Amobi says AMOBI says all social platforms at a frugal athlete on all social platforms www.afrugalathlete.com to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm available anywhere. Always trying to connect, collaborate, and do some cool stuff.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, please follow my man Amobi. Like, share, subscribe to his stuff. A Frugal Athlete is on and popping. If you're trying to get your money right, listen. A Frugal
Mm-hmm.
Athlete, man. I mean, what else do you need? He just told you what the vision was. He told you why he did it. Go and follow. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, listen, I have to drop that jewel. It costs nothing to be good to someone. So be good to someone today. I'm Rob Fields. He's Amobi Okugo. And we've been on the couch. I'm holler at you guys on the next episode. We out.
Hey, hey, man, you might be going places with this.